So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Let's hope this isn't the preview of what Aston Villa's season is going to be like, because that's just the weirdest 15 minutes I've ever put down with technology. Not only is that phantom final whistle podcast for Borussia Dortmund still in my intro somewhere, it turns itself on from somewhere, but as I was trying to upload the stream, the North Koreans attacked me or something along the lines. I just got kicked out of my own stream, couldn't get in. But anyway, let's
be back on the Villa yet.
Yeah, I see Bardell's in there late. It could never be me in the comments. Bardell is saying. But I learned from the best. Welcome, everybody, to our 2024-2025 season preview. And as the Chiron said there a moment ago, and as all our social media posts said, we've got some old muckers with us today, and former Chris Dolan and Ty Bracey. Welcome, gentlemen. And Chris, it's brilliant to have you back on the podcast after. I think the last time we had you on was you were on a train after a Villa game, and I can't remember what game it was, but let's just say it was a great podcast.
Yeah, we probably won, and probably had a few too many drinks. But
I'll tell you exactly when it was. We didn't win. It was the night that Steven Gerrard was sacked, wasn't it?
Oh shit! I was at the game. I was at the game with Bardell, and we were the Fulham game. Did I jump on? I think we was on the pub. Was on the pub, like waiting for the news to break. You know, I kind of like statistically sort of jump back on YouTube occasionally and watch a few of his interviews, just to listen to the insanity of it all, you know. And then that interview, right?
Just to make yourself feel better.
Do you remember the game we beat Southampton 1-0? Remember? And it was like I'd never felt so flat after a win. And it was probably the most boring performance I've ever seen. It was 1-0. Ramsey scored, and his post-match with Neville and Carragher, and he was like, again, throwing Mings under a bus and banging on about being pragmatic, and maybe that he moved it on too quickly. I was just like, oh my god. But anyway, there you go, Paddy. That was the last time I jumped on live.
That was great. You were on the train and we could hear every stop. It was like the next stop was it was good times because we just finished the podcast, Paddy, if I remember rightly, and literally as we clicked on stop, it was announced that he was gone, and we went right back into it again. You know, so we went from the depths of despair on that one back into like, he's gone. That's longer
surreal. Yeah, I mean, I know this isn't the Steven Gerrard show, but like, that night was very weird. But do you remember the night that Lambert got sacked and we played Hull away 2-0, and there was like in-crowd fighting against the Villa fans because they were just so angry. But this was like anger, but we were all like together in the anger. So like we weren't angry at each other for once. But it was a very strange night that. But I mean, you know, look where we are now, 18 months later, insane.
Absolutely, and going into this season with more than a modicum of positivity as well. And Ty, you're back on. It's been a while since you've been on as well. I know we've been trying.
I was going to say you sounded more excited for Dolan, but I assume that's just because you're all Irish and I'm not. So forget the lot, yeah.
Well, usually I'm the only Irishman.
There weren't no enthusiasm like there was with Dolan. That won't be forgotten, Mr. Dunworth. I'll have you know. Thank you.
It's 2 years since it's over 2 years nearly since we've had Dolan on. But how are you keeping yourself, Ty?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. The X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, seems to have restored back to, you know, football controlling the timeline as opposed to all of the palaver that's been going on in the world. So not so depressed. Well, not as depressed to be going on the timeline as has been for the last couple of weeks. But yeah, all good, mate. All good.
Excellent. And Paddy, of course, you're beaming from ear to ear because you're off to sunnier climes more or less directly after this podcast. And
he's always on holiday.
He's always on holidays, right? Yeah, and he's got the fake tan done and everything before this one, so he's ready to go.
Sure, it has to be done. So we'll get this one out of the way before I go
here,
off.
Paddy, last time I was on holiday, right, in September in Mallorca, I went down to the local sports bar and watched Villa against Brighton. And look how that turned out. So let's hope there's a little holiday omen there. And
6-1 was it?
so, yeah, exactly, mate. And you're sitting watching, and there was a couple of Blues fans sitting beside me as well. I mean, it couldn't have got any better. But yeah, let's hope there's a little holiday omen there in the sun, just getting stuck into
Fingers
the corners.
crossed.
So,
Yeah,
man.
Paddy, don't get your hopes up. My last holiday was I was in Wales. I went to Tenby, and it was when we lost to Olympiacos.
Ooh.
It was your fault, so.
Yeah, and the table next to me was Wolves fans, and the table on the other side of me was Blues fans. I shit you not, I was the only Villa fan in there watching the Villa game. Let's not talk about that. Nice sad times.
I'm just wondering why you went to Tenby in May on your holidays. It was bloody freezing.
What's wrong with Tenby?
It's bloody freezing in most of the year. That's what's wrong with it. It's a beautiful
No,
place,
all right,
but it's bloody freezing.
I'll be honest, it rained all week, you know. I ain't even going to try and gas it up that it would so like that we had good weather. It peed down for the entire week, Pat.
And
go.
yeah, now that we've got the holiday podcast out of the way, which has been really good and it's been informative.
And the Stephen Gerrard podcast as well.
20 past 9 and we haven't even started talking football yet.
Yeah. I haven't even gotten into the season preview, but I think
any holidays booked, Neil?
I've just back off 2 weeks, but I've had two kids under the age of 3, so that's not holidays.
Yeah,
that's
not
mental
holiday.
torture is what it is. So it's but you got to say in forums like this that you love them, don't you? But yeah, so like I suppose we're just off an off season, guys, and this is more kind of directed to both yourselves, Chris and Ty, because myself and Paddy are kind of blue in the face of talking about it. But we're off an off season that's kind of not been like any off season I've ever seen at Aston Villa. You know, you go back, we've been through like 4 or 5 different chapters of a book already this off season, between PSR, between everyone hating us because we sold Timur Bunum to Everton, and then fighting with people over transfer. Oh well, I was fighting with people over what transfer market actually is and what their algorithm actually does, and then all of a sudden we sign on Nana, and then we get into the preseason, and then you know everybody's full of optimism, and everybody's not full of optimism because we've got mismatched teams and we're not winning in preseason, and now we're on the doorstep, I suppose, of the new season. So first of all, I'm going to start with you, Ty, and I'm going to ask you what's been your overall arching kind of feeling of the off season so far, you know, as we hit towards the coming year.
Right, I'm going to keep it pretty optimistic, and I'm glad that I've come on here and I have an opportunity to vent beyond just 160 characters on Twitter. What was the thing that everybody towards the back end of the season, you know, going into the latter stages of the Conference League and coming towards the end of the season, what did everybody say that we lacked? Depth, right? Mm-hmm. Depth. We need depth. Everybody looked dead. Didn't matter how good they were, how important they were. Everybody looked dead. We've got depth. And everybody's still moaning. Not everyone, you know, there is it's not, I don't want to say it's a majority because it's not. But do I think that we're going into the start of the season a little bit short in terms of transfers? Neil, I'm going to assume you were talking about transfers, not preseason games, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Transfers.
Okay. Do I think we're still short 1 or 2, maybe 3 an absolute stretch? Yes. But it's when you've got people saying, oh, we haven't made any class signings. Like, I'm sorry, Anana is going to be absolutely bang on in the middle. When it clicks, it's going to click, I'm telling you. And he's going to be one of the most important parts of that 11 throughout the season. Maatsen was the left back of the Champions League tournament, the team that got to the finals. When I'm seeing things saying like, oh, yeah, we've made no great signings, like, we just can't. I would rather us be in a position where Emery has said 1 in, 1 out, which he has said, and I would much rather us be in that situation and being very careful to make sure that we don't end up in a sticky hole than us do this business and come May next year, everyone's saying that the club's not being run properly. We can't have it both ways. We can't. Could we go and splash? Yeah, of course we could. But we're saying we can't do this business until this other business out of the club has been done, which I think is completely reasonable. Would I like to see the Diego Carlos situation wrapped up and out the door? Yes, of course. Things have gone very quiet on the John Duran front. Whether he's staying or going is another story. But as a whole, do I think we're going into Saturday against West Ham a little bit light? Yeah, maybe, but there's still we've got 2.5 weeks left of the window. We've got 2.5 weeks left of the window open. I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think we're going to get a couple more through the door, assuming we can get a few off the books. I'm absolutely not stressing about it whatsoever.
And what's your view on it, Dolan?
I mean, I'm not being negative and I'm kind of saying what I see. I think we're slightly weaker in a way with the loss of Louise and Diaby. I think when you look at what Louise did, so we've basically lost Kamara and Louise. Louise obviously left to go to Juventus. Kamara's out until we think October time. By the time he gets match fit, you're probably looking sort of more November, December. Diaby, yes, was hit and miss, but his output for us was impressive. And we all know what happened with a certain Leon Bailey and what happened with him when he managed to settle in. So yes, Onana is quality, but he's very, very, very different to Louise, and I think he's going to have to take a lot of time to adapt. Do we see like a three of Onana, Tielemans, and McGinn? Do we see Ramsey in there? I think again, looking back at people like Buendia and Ramsey, having Ramsey back for me is probably the biggest thing. The most positive thing of preseason, having Ramsey back. I think he's absolute quality, like one of my favorite players for Villa for the last few years. Him and Grealish, up again, both homegrown. But I think having him back's huge. Buendia will take time to settle and get his match fitness back. I agree with Matson. I think that's a quality signing. But again, we've looked really shaky at the back over preseason. People that say that they don't really care about preseason. I mean, of course, we want to win every game we play, regardless if it's a friendly or not. But I'd like to see if another centre back in. I'd like to see a replacement for Diaby. I'd like to see Duran out the door, because I think anytime even when he scored that brace against Liverpool, McGinn was like, he's a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's a nightmare, and I can only imagine what he's like to try and manage. So I'd like to get him out the door as quick as possible. Surprised me if reports are to be true. We rejected the £32 million bid from West Ham plus
an offer,
one of their youth players that I know you're a big fan of. But we shall see. I think no matter what happens at Villa, Emery's in charge. I mean, there's part of me thinks maybe Emery even planned the preseason to go this way because he's such a genius that everything was planned within an inch of his life. A bit like the Ajax game away last season. The first leg against Ajax was one of the most turgid games I've ever seen, and then boom, we go and batter them in the second leg. Everything for me so planned and thought out from Emery that I'm not worried about results. How can you possibly get into rhythm when you basically have 2 11s per game? Like, it's impossible. And I heard Glasner speak today actually on Talk Sport about having a very, very disjointed preseason. Obviously, they haven't had Wharton, they haven't had Gay, they haven't had Eze, they've lost Elise, so having the Copa America, the Olympics, the Euros, it'd be very, very difficult to work on patterns of play when we haven't had. Watkins hasn't kicked a single ball pre-season. Tielemans came back late. Onana obviously came back late, plus he was new. Matson came back from Holland. Martinez, Konza, it's difficult, it's tricky. So we'll see. Listen, we'll see come sort of 7 o'clock on Saturday. But just don't forget, we had a fairly good preseason last season and we got battered 5-1. So for me, I'm just glad there's no touch wood, there's no ACLs this week. But I would like to have seen the Diaby situation sorted, and I'd like to see, as Ty said, the Carlos situation sorted, and I'd like to see Duran out the door. That's my 3 sort of slight gripes, slight worries.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. I think the biggest part of that is that, that's pretty measured in my view. I agree 100%. Sorry, I'll go in what I think afterwards. Paddy, I got to bring you into it here. See, I'm not used to hosting with 4 because I always get to say my thing after the person says their thing when there's only 2 of us. So bear with me on this one. Paddy, I know we've spoken about this an awful lot, but what the lads have said there, what do you agree with? Maybe what don't you agree with? What's the story with you?
Yeah, a lot of valid points in there, and just picking on that last one that Chris said about having a great preseason last season. Season before we'd an amazing preseason, and then the whole thing just fell apart when the season kicked off under Gerrard. So you just can't judge, when you're mixing the team up so much. And I believe they were on double shifts with training, fitness training while they were out in America. So you really can't judge what they did on the pitch in that time. So they've had a couple of days off. By all accounts, there's going to be a behind closed doors game tomorrow, whoever that's against. And look, I'm only nothing but positive about what's happening here. I know there's still a little bit short with regards cover for Ollie Watkins. I honestly think Joe Gauci is going to be number 2 when we go into the season, the way things are looking. And
Paddy, sorry, that's a big. So just on that, sorry to butt in. The Olsen thing, the Olsen situation still worries me a lot. What are we going to do about our number 2?
Yeah. I think it's Gauci. I think it's Gauci. No, absolutely no doubt about it.
I love that Kaminsky. I know he shipped in 4 last night, but I love that Kaminsky lad from Luton.
Luton.
Maybe as a number 2, he made some great saves last year. But yeah, that if it is Gauci, then I mean that's still a risk. He's 24.
Let's hold on this because it's one of my questions for later.
Sorry.
Neil, before we go on a little bit more, can I talk about something else that's pressing me a little bit that I keep seeing a lot? Where are these 40 goals coming from? The 40 goals and the contributions between Douglas Luiz and Diaby, and it's literally quite question. Well, no, yeah, but I just feel like the answer's very simple. You just need to take a step back and evaluate it. Douglas Luiz penalty taker, firstly. So there's some of the goals themselves. Granted, he was great at getting a ball in and a through ball, and assists were great. But you need to understand, Rodgers will take up a huge chunk of those. Barkley will hit them as well. JJ will hit them. Buendia will hit them. Wouldn't surprise me if Jaden hits a few as well. We're not going to be short of players who are going to be able to give us those numbers. Our problem last season wasn't how many goals we scored; it's how many we conceded.
Yeah,
that's set pieces was absolutely abysmal. But and I'm not going to blame Austin McPhee for that. I'm going to say a lack of physicality and a lack of height. We've got a guy who's an absolute unit, who's literally going to be a brick wall in front of Emi Martinez, and that's exactly what we need. Will it be enough? I guess, we'll find out in time.
That's Onana, just to clarify, isn't it? Yeah.
Did I not say that? No. My bad.
No.
It's nearly my bedtime now. That's why I'm ready for a Horlicks in bed. But yeah, we're getting that physicality is something that we've lacked, and we've got it. It's an attribute that we're definitely weak on. And what he brings to the table are parts where we failed, in the past. And that's where those 40 goal contributions are going to come from for me. I really do believe that Buendia, it's going to take him a bit of time. JJ's had a long stretch out, not a consecutive stretch out, but he hasn't been, fully fit JJ for a while. And Rodgers as well looks bang up for it, full of confidence, and he's literally raring, ready to go this season. And I really think he's going to be the one who goes under the radar this year. I reckon that he's going to pull out a player of the season, for Villa. I really do. That's my rant over on the 40 goals. Sorry, guys.
And you know what? You're right. It's we'll talk about in a moment as well. But I'll reignite the conversation again when I talk in a moment. But Paddy, anything else that you want to bring with regards to the off season?
No, it's just like we're definitely stronger in a lot of departments than we were last season, and there's a lot more bodies there that we don't know enough about. The likes of Willing Jr. and Barden Che had to come into there that we haven't seen enough of at that level, and they will be nursed in there. And I would imagine Matson, who you correctly say was the left back of the Champions League team. That's a huge signing for us, absolutely huge. And you tend to believe that one of the fullbacks is going to go out. There's a whole lot more moving parts here before we settle down in 2 weeks' time and see what goes out on the pitch when we head into September, because there's some to go out, there's some to come in. I'm not overly worried at all. I am worried about the next couple of games because there's a bit of a worry about Ollie Watkins and his fitness and why we haven't seen him in pre-season. So we'll just have to wait and see how that pans out over the next few days and see if he's fit for Saturday. But we have replacements there. Are they the Ollie Watkins standard? No, and that troubles me a little bit. So that's my overriding worry going into the season. But in 2 weeks' time, I think we'll be in a completely different place.
I think we have to keep Archer. I think Archer's pivotal. I think he's absolutely quality. Like, I really do. You know, I was banging on about Philogene 2-3 seasons ago. If there was something about him as well that I really liked. I see now he's become a real physical presence, and I mean, he was phenomenal for Hull last year. And yeah, I think if you give Emery and Archer some time to work together, I think he could make him a real talent.
Here is, does he have the time to work with him?
I know.
Does he have the space within the squad to keep him around for that amount of time till he teaches him to run the lines that Ollie Watkins runs? Is he capable of doing the job that Ollie Watkins is doing? All of these things are just something he's going to have to decide.
But we never thought Watkins was capable of getting the numbers that he got before he came in.
Excuse me, I've been punching tickets.
To be fair as well. Yeah, Bardell was always a big advocate of Watkins, and I'll have to give him credit on that one. Even though he's a pain in the arse most of the time, but I have to say that like he always backed Watkins to the hilt. When others weren't so, when a lot of the fan base weren't so keen on him. But I think with Archer and I mean, listen, like, Emery just improves every single player that he works with. So again, you look at players coming in and are they ready? I mean, you give Emery some time. I mean, Ty said about Rodgers maybe becoming a bit of a player of the season. He wasn't far off being player of the season, and he only had like 4 months. Do you know what I mean? So you give him a full preseason and a full season, and he could be player of the year. He could be another Cole Palmer shout in terms of his output. So. Yeah, listen, it is like no matter what happens at that football club, every single player that played last season deserves. I mean, the greatest team in my lifetime being a Villa fan, because no other teams achieved what they've achieved in terms of getting that fourth place. And Emery, maybe bar like obviously Gregory and Little and that little year we had in the mid-90s, Emery's by far the kind of most successful manager in my lifetime. Been a Villa fan since '93, so '93. What I don't know how many years that is now, but
you missed out the second place in '92.
Yeah. But even every single player in that squad from last season and this season, plus the coaching staff, like they can do no wrong in my eyes.
Yeah,
they can't, because what they've done is just phenomenal.
I agree. I agree, and I suppose you guys been talking about players, and Ty, you mentioned there, where those goals could have come from. A lot of people are mentioning in the comments here as well. We didn't have Amy Buendia. So I'll marry the two pieces together. So Chris, you were mentioning about replacing Diaby. Diaby had a lot of output for us last season, and how do we replace him? And Ty, you mentioned about a few other things there as well. In the comments were they're speaking here about we're going to have Buendia and Ramsey back there. They're two players that Ramsey more or less didn't play for us last season, and Buendia. So, and I fall into the trap of this a lot of the time as well. And it's only when I write down the 25 players that we have, that we potentially could line up in the Champions League, that I remember, oh shit, yeah, Ramsey can go in there, Rodgers can go in here, or Buendia can go in here. And then when you think about the level of player that Ramsey and Buendia are, they're good, honest pros. They'll chase all day long. Yeah, will they make mistakes? They will, of course. Every player makes mistakes. So the more I kind of think about it, and obviously, you talk about we've been linked to like João Felix, we've been linked to Lascelles. So if we get those over the line, if we get some players over the line, I think there are massive additions to the club, absolutely. But only in the last day or so, I'm kind of thinking to myself, if we base what we have now on last season, we are actually in a stronger position, because I think Jacob Ramsey is a better player, is as good, if not a better player than Diaby within this system. And I think Buendia was somebody we were talking about missing absolutely uncontrollably at the start of last year. We were like, fuck, he's the best.
And he had a good pre-season as well, man. I was like, yo, he's about to have a good season. I thought that was his year, man, and then that happened. I was so gutted for him, mate. Honestly,
and as we know, Buendia is absolutely amazing in the air. I always say that because he scored 1 or 2 headers, like, you know, and he's smaller than me, which is incredible. But look, and this is I've only had this epiphany in the last couple of days when I've written it down and everything. I know people have done this on Twitter, but sometimes when you do it yourself, you kind of go, I actually feel a small bit better about this now. For me, obviously, the 2 centre halves are the issue for me. The fact that we've only got 2 at the minute, because Carlos ain't going to be playing at the weekend. He's not even going to be on the bench, I don't think. I think Lamar Bogart is going to be there, and I don't think Mings is going to be there either. So for me, I agree with everything you guys have said. The last little point I wanted to bring up as well is, Dolan, you mentioned there about Archer. I agree. I come across as being anti-Archer at times. And the reason it's not that I don't think he's a good player. It's not that I don't think he's got the potential. It's not that I don't think that if he's in and around this club for 2 or 3 years that he can become a very, very good player. My big thing is, at the moment, the club is absolutely goosed if Ollie Watkins is out for 15 games of the season or 10 games of the season. And then, once again, I step back from that and I go, that's how good Ollie Watkins is, though. You know, so you sign a second-rate striker and you bring him in, he might be no better than Archer. You know, he mightn't even force Archer out of the team. So,
for me, Duran's good enough. Duran's good enough, right? He's quality, Duran. He is quality, and he's good enough to become to push Watkins in that position. But from a mentality point of view and a mindset point of view, he doesn't want to be there. So for me, you get rid. He's like a sort of Paul Pogba sort of mindset. You know, the first chance he gets to jump ship, he goes, and which is totally baffling to me. But I mean, suppose that's what kind of London can do to a young player, and people dangle big wads of cash in front of them. But I think Archer's capable. I think Archer's more than capable of pushing Watkins. I really do. I think he's a natural finisher. I think he's as good as a finisher as we've had at the club in a long time. And I don't see why you can't bring him on with half an hour to go, and he can run the channels. We saw last week, you know, that ball, those 2 goals. The first one was offside, which wasn't offside in pre-season last Wednesday. And then against Bilbao, and then he goes again. That same run, times it perfectly. And the strength he had to hold off that defender as well, and to put the ball in the back of the net. I think he's a really, really class player, and I don't see why we don't keep him around. I think it makes perfect sense. I think he went out last year on loan and probably got more streetwise than anything. Probably didn't learn an awful lot in terms of quality, but probably learned a lot in terms of, like, this is what it's like to really grind it out and graft it out at a tough club with a really toxic stadium. I mean, if you think Villa Park was bad the year we went down, I mean, they had 3-4 games in a row where their fans emptied out after 25 minutes, you know. So I think you learned a lot from that. Sorry?
One of them against us.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I think we started that little trend, which was nice. But I'm a big fan of Archer, and I think to have him and Philogene back in the squad for me, it makes perfect sense. I think it was a genius move last year. You sell it for 20 million, and you get him back for basically for free. Is like, it's perfect. So I'm more than happy to sell Duran, keep Archer. For me, it's the Diaby link. We need to bring in a player like that can replace Diaby like for like. That's my big worry.
I personally think. Sorry, Neil.
No, go for it.
I think that the plan is to get Duran out and then splash on somebody who can cover striker and Diaby. Personally. Yep.
Me too.
And the only player that we've really been linked with is João Felix on that one. But yeah, I would expect a player of that type of who can play exactly where Diaby played, striker if need be as well. I think they'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone with that one, personally, which would be nice. I really don't think we do both. I really don't.
Semi Klitschko. I'm willing Semi Klitschko, and I know people are going to be going, never heard of him, and that's fine. He is the Turkish Wayne Rooney, and I will go.
Is that the guy we were linked with yesterday?
Yeah, I will, but yeah, we've been linked to him like 4 or 5 times. It's a hill I'm willing to die on, and I may very well be wrong. The guy's only 18 years of age, but Jesus, I've never seen a guy pick up a ball and like he's kind of one of these people. It's like, fuck's sake, just give me the ball, I'll do it. Like that's the kind of mentality he has, and I love that in a footballer. He's like, just give it to me, right? So I'll do it. Like, and you see him with the ball at his feet, or you see him just take a shot. He's got pure anger. Anyway. We won't get into a scouting series on Semi Klitschko, but I would happily take him at Villa. And to cover both those roles. Yes, he's a younger player. He's not going to be the marquee signing that people want, but he fills that role. I think if he comes in latter half of the season, I think people are talking about, this guy's able to play football. But anyway, we won't get down the likes of a scouting piece here. People are asking here, and I want to get your guys' opinions about penalty takers. Just comments here that I'm farming here, but penalty taker, Chris, who do you think is going to be penalty taker this year?
I mean, Watkins didn't have a good record for us when he was taking them, hence why Louise came into that. I don't know. There's something about Maatsen strikes me as being a really, I don't know. He just strikes me as being a really good penalty taker. I mean, everyone should be able to, at that level, should be able to take a penalty from 12 yards out, really. So shouldn't make a difference. But I mean, you see Ederson's penalty on Saturday was absolute quality. So I mean, anybody should really be able to take on whatever position they play. But Tielemans, Watkins, Maatsen, McGinn.
Rogers.
I think it's nailed on that it has to be Rogers.
And me.
I think it's Rogers. I think it's
think?
going to be Rogers.
I think it's nailed on Tielemans.
Tielemans,
He's a thunder bastard of a kicker. Let me tell you, if there's a player, if you're taking a penalty, you fucking put your laces through it. There's none of this silly bollocks. You put your laces through it, and if you want one player in that 11 to put their laces through a ball, it's him. That guy has an absolute rocket. I really do think it'll be. I just don't think he's.
I think as the season goes on, I think he will. I think he's destined to have a situation like he did last year. Even though we won't have Luis, because I think John McGinn is going to be further back and off more than people want to admit. I think I know that probably the weekend we see Tielemans and Onana together, but yeah, Barkley is in there as well. Yeah, so there's some good shouts. I'd happily have Ross Barkley take penalties. I'd have happily Tielemans, happily Rogers, happily. Fuck it, I'd happily have Watkins take them.
It's a good problem to have, Neil. It's a good problem to have.
Remember Luca Dean's penalty? Luca Dean's penalty in the shootout. Yeah, look, okay. As Dolan said, they're getting paid enough money to kick the ball into the goals from 12 yards out with no one marking them. I begin to sound like my father now. Whenever someone misses a penalty, how much is he getting paid? That's the first question my father will ask. I think every Irish father asks that question whenever he sees a penalty being missed. But yeah, I think it's look, it'll be something that I think when it happens, we'll know. And I don't think we'll be too surprised because it's but we have had some horrible luck with penalties, going back to the who let Glenn Whelan take a penalty situation before. But exactly,
but that was the greatest. But that was the greatest penalty miss in our history. Well, that was one of the greatest penalty misses that we've had in the last 7 or 8 years. Again, like I go back to the Fulham defeat at the playoff final. It was like the greatest defeat we've ever had. And again, against Fulham beating us against Gerrard, one of the greatest defeats we've ever had in our history. Like the most important defeat. Both coming from Fulham, playoff final, and then the league game, which saw Gerrard get sacked. So, penalties. I mean, we didn't get the money last year, did we? We only got a couple in the league, from what I can remember.
Got a couple early on in the year, I think, and then we got one? Did we get one against Sheffield United? I think that day that they left early was a blur. That was the day we interviewed Paul McGrath, so the points were flowing early that day.
You also missed one against Olympiacos as well, which was vital at the time.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cheers,
only
Pat.
4 pens. Pod Miller says, where is it? Only 4 pens in the league last year. So before we move away from, I suppose, the squad discussion, I'm going to press you all one position that we have to strengthen before the season starts. Let's start with you, Dolan.
Number 10, Diaby, like for like. I think
How about you, Ty?
Bogart's showing a bit of Bogart's shown that he's probably good enough to sort of come in when needed. So there's Mings to come back as well. Konza, Torres, Mings, Bogart. There's still a bit there, but for me, I just think we need that little bit of extra firepower up front.
Ty?
Subjective, man. It all depends on things that are going to unravel in the next, few days, next week, whatever. I'm going to say centre back just purely to back myself on the comment of our problem last year wasn't scoring goals; it was conceding them. So I'm going to go with centre back.
Patrick?
Just to be different, I'm going to go right back, and I think there's an opportunity here, and we.
But you got to be careful what you're saying, Pat, because you'll have someone in your DMs, mate. You'll have someone threatening to meet you outside the alt end for a fight, mate.
I'll have somebody on me here as well.
Private joke.
Yeah. No, I think
you will know one day. You will know one day, but I can't talk about it right now. But just Paddy, don't talk about right backs because you might end up in trouble, mate.
Oh well, I just think there's an opportunity to have an additional one there that we could do it, and I think we've been linked with a player who I really like in Gertrude, and I think he could come in and do a job at centre half, right centre half. He can play right of a three. He can play right back. He can play in central defensive midfield if needs be. Can also take a penalty as well if needs be, and has played 3 or 4 games last season at left back and done a great job. So I just think if he was a signing that could come in, he could fix a lot of problems.
Yeah, and I think we need both number 10 and a centre back. Because I'm running this podcast, I can do whatever I like.
No.
I think it wouldn't surprise me if the club did that. And the reason that I'm doing this, I think that they will look. I think they're going to prioritize centre half, centre half / right back. I think they're going to prioritize the defence. And I think Gertrude. Look, I'm going to pin my colours to the mast. I would be absolutely blown away if Gertrude, if Carlos isn't out the door and Gertrude isn't here by the end of the week. I think they'll do what they need to do to make things happen.
Is he any good?
We had a guy on from Football Aranya, the top Dutch English language podcast. Michael Statham is his name, and he raved about him. He said he was really good. He said he sees him actually moving back into centre half in time to come. Spoke about him as being like a fan favorite. It kind of doesn't talk an awful lot. Has a bit of a. Well, Michael said that he potentially has a bit of a speech impediment, so doesn't really do a lot of media work or anything, but he's an Iron Man, never gets injured, puts in 1,001%, puts the club above himself and stuff like that. And he's named captain this year, and apparently the fans absolutely adore him. So it's that's the feeling.
If you think that Villa Twitter has been having a meltdown, go and have a look at Feyenoord Twitter, because I'm a Feyenoord fan and I've been listening to and reading for the last few days. Pardon?
Yeah.
Has it been bad?
Oh, really bad. They're absolutely shitting themselves that he's out the door.
Yeah, and he's their captain, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's captain for the preseason game. Yeah. But the reason I took the liberty of naming 2 is because if we get Semi Kalichka in, who is at this stage going to be labelled my love child at this stage, because I'm talking about him so much, he's under 21, so he doesn't count towards the. So we can do some finagling with regards to squad registrations in the Premier League.
Still think we need a bit of experience up there, Neil. I think we need a bit of experience.
If you're good enough, you're old enough.
Well,
you're good enough. Yeah. If you're going, there's no one telling you that Lamar Bogart, not Lamar Bogart, was it? What's the guy, the Spanish guy? Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
Hey,
say that 5 times after 3 points, Keane out.
I couldn't even say it 1 time after 2 points. Yeah, so I think, look, I think it's, look, I think the squad is what it is. It's a small bit of a work in progress. Look, you never really want to be going into an off season with questions at striker and questions at centre, or season with questions at striker and questions at centre half. But we still have 17 days left in the transfer.
It's interesting. Like, the only 2 teams that have strengthened are West Ham and Villa, really. No one,
and United,
Chelsea. Well,
Chelsea have bought players. We don't know whether they've strengthened or not.
Well, exactly. And
hey, have you seen Cole Palmer today? Signed an extension until 2033. What is
I'll-
that? 9 years?
9 years. That means Jesus Christ, I nearly have my mortgage paid off by then. Like that's
Can somebody
fucking mental.
clip Bracey saying 9 years? That's a great little
No.
clip. That 9
9
years.
years.
Fuck the lot, yeah. All right. I'll go high
But
pitch
no-
sometimes. And
But nobody's really strengthened. I mean, like it's very interesting, like to see the dynamics of how it's been.
I think
You know?
United are going to be. Well, United made
Aye,
some
but
good
sure, we
signings, but-
thought the year they bought Sancho, Varane, Ronaldo,
True.
fucking,
Yeah.
every year we think that they've won the transfer window, and then you see them on the pitch and it's just absolute chaos. So
I'm
I
a
wouldn't
big
look
fan
into
of
what
the
they do.
list. When he's
When he's fit. Yeah.
when he's there, he's a
I was a fan of
back, I'll be honest, man.
Varane too. I was a fan of Sancho as well, and look what happened to those guys. Like, just didn't. I think there's a
Very
lot
true.
of there's a lot of weight on that jersey at the minute, and yeah, I don't think it's going to be quite as clear cut as the window
And-
looks out to be.
And
think
Ten Hag will
Fulham-
be gone by October. Like
Fulham,
Ten Hag
yeah.
will be gone by
Fulham are a
October.
dark horse, man. They ain't done some bad business. And you got to remember as well with West Ham, lads, I know we have terrible luck against them. However,
The last few games have been pretty steady.
West Ham have done a lot of business, new manager and basically a new team. You know, there's only a few players that we're going to be starting. You know, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 that are going to be starting who started last season. It takes time, man. It really does take time. You know, it's not
Is Paquetá in or is he out? What's happening with Paquetá? I know you'll do a
banned.
preview,
He
but
should be
like,
banned. Why is that even a discussion? He should be banned, especially for
Yeah.
our game. Unban him after. I don't care. He should be banned.
but
Should
is
be
that
banned.
because I thought he was off on loan, or I thought they were going to ship him out on loan to back to Brazil? No.
Yeah, I thought that as well, but no, it seems like he's going to be allowed play. Same thing, wasn't it?
There you
Tony
go.
was allowed play against us, and then he was banned the week after.
Yeah.
Just
Interesting.
the way it goes. They look at it. They go, who we deduct points from? Everton. Who we let
Yeah.
the banned players play against? They're playing Phil and next gesture. That won't really matter. Yeah. We do it that way.
Yeah. Match fixing referees and all sorts. Sure, it's all good.
Oh,
It's all a
no.
bit of crack.
There's a new Twitter handle for the VAR control room. The Premier League.
Oh, I've
VAR,
seen that,
Yeah.
mate. I can't
which
wait.
is
Paddy Barr said
I-
they can tweet their apologies live. You know what I mean?
They're
it-
getting some shit. Let me tell you, boys.
Oh,
They are
there's-
getting
yeah.
some shit.
I will tell you something. Yeah, exactly. They will actually have to start blocking people on that account at some stage. I
Mate,
think.
they will 100% get more abuse than Bardell did when he said that Butland had signed for Villa. I'm telling you, it ain't even going to be close. It's going to be that is going to be like
But you know,
even worse
but
than
you know,
OnlyFans girls on Twitter,
can-
like pretend they're like
we
football.
can
Even
Ty,
worse
we
than
can
that.
we can put this Butland story to bed. Right? I told them that just for a bit of crack, right?
You told
And he-
Bardell the Butland
and he-
story.
God, I've never
And he-
heard this.
And he believed it. So it was the night before. I'm pretty sure it was the night before we did the live podcast at the Villa View, and I was speaking to somebody at the club about a certain position, and his name was brought up, and I said, "Oh, do you know what? Just for a laugh, I'll say that he's on the way." And I think I tweeted it as well, and then he said it, and then for some reason he gets all this stick about it.
It gets
Well, I'm
brought
pretty
up
sure
on a daily basis on his
Yeah,
Twitter
and I
timeline. I'm
encourage
Bardell's.
it as well.
If
I
you watch
encourage
if
it.
you watch the Villa View live, right? I think I said it the night before. I think I was having a beer or two, but maybe I can't remember. But I said it just for a laugh, and then I brought it up on the live podcast at Villa Park that next day. And he
Like
seemed to
Dolan,
get-
I can categorically say, yeah, that event was the only thing that hurt that boy's ego in his entire media career. I ain't even joking. That is the only event, mate, that really took a bit. He was like a Horcrux, like from Harry Potter, man. Like you took a part of his soul after that happened, mate.
Well, no, I think his trousers did that. Doing that
Also,
night, his
he was the person who told me the away kit was coming out on the 1st of August, and it didn't fucking come out on the 1st of August. So there's two things he's got wrong, and I got some shit for that.
I don't know who told him that. but-
No. This is a season preview. this isn't the Air Grievances podcast. But we can about something else in a moment. Well, actually, we can't because there's no real grievances there because we've done that with regards to the squad. Let's take a look at what the season actually holds from a fixture point of view. And I know some of these are moved since this came out. But How do we feel about I suppose the layout of the year so far from a fixture point of view? And when you look at the fixtures that we have here, is there any kind of portion of the year that kind of is, is really kind of sticking out as, oh Jesus, we better have everybody
fucking roll on September, son.
If I could see it, if I could see it, I might be able to tell you. Let me get it up on my phone as well.
Can you not see it?
Let me get it up on my phone.
There we go. Now we should be able to see it.
Yeah, now we're cooking.
While you're looking there, I'll start it off. It's November that's worrying me the most. The fact that we've got to play Tottenham and Liverpool away.
Paddy, can't you talk about what you're excited for instead of what you're scared for?
Well, we'll talk about excitement later on when we do our predictions, but it's that November, because those 2 away games against Tottenham and Liverpool are either side of a Champions League game as well.
Yeah.
No, bollocks.
Yeah. So that's that. I suppose November is tough looking.
But like, you look at Tottenham. Like, I mean, Tottenham aren't Cup. I know what Liverpool have really done an awful lot. Palace are a bit of a dark horse, of course, but it's at home, and Chelsea are just a complete mixed bag. You don't know what you're going to get with them.
I hate Christmas this year.
I don't like Boxing Day one bit.
Man City, Newcastle, Brighton. Like I know
I don't fear
Brighton have sold players. I know they've sold a couple of players, but man, they've brought in like 6 decent players under the age of 23. Like they do every single year. And I think I'd prefer to be playing Brighton in the first 2 games this year. Try and catch them. New manager, new players.
This is our hope of West Ham, though, isn't it? That's what we're hoping to catch West Ham.
That's true.
Game.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's a sticky portion of the season. What part of the season are you looking forward to, Ty, from what we can see here, or what we can't really see there?
September, October. Can I have a quick look at December?
You can't? Oh, I wanted to scroll down because I'm not on that. Yeah, there we go.
I'm not afraid of December. Let's have a look at. So we'll go.
I think the only issue with the December is the fact that we've got to play 7 games plus a Champions League game in there. So it's going to be a long. It's going to be a long.
We've got some depth, Paddy. We got some depth, son. Illing Jr. to score from them having a corner coming all the way up the pitch like a Dharma Traore level pace. Skim 10 players, barring in, mate. It's going to happen.
Well, and who we never mentioned with regards to the depth is Enzo Barnechea. And sorry to go back.
I was just about to say that. I knew you was going to say that.
First 2 preseason games, Enzo Barnechea was the second coming of Jude Bellingham. Of whoever, inside there. No, in fairness, he was brilliant and he got the ball moving and he played, he was, really tidy. And then he only played a small bit for the next game and then he didn't feature them for the Club America game. And I think we're going to be very, very, very excited and very surprised by how good he actually is over the course of the season.
I agree.
But anyway, I usually look forward to the month of April for these because my birthday is on the 17th of April. So all of you guys, just tape the money into the inside of the card.
The Fulham game on the 19th because my birthday's on the 14th. So I'll be at a Fulham game in October. I'll be at the Arsenal game if anybody wants to buy me a pint in 2 weeks.
You'll be Fulham and Arsenal. I was going to say I can't go to the game corresponding with my birthday this year, which would be 19th at Newcastle because I went away and I booked my wedding for that bloody weekend. I booked my wedding for that weekend, so for that day. So
Christ. That was a shocker.
Yeah, what a shocker! Yeah,
I think they'll switch it to a Sunday, Neil, and we'll instead of going on honeymoon, we'll just head off for the game on a Sunday.
Well, day two of the wedding in Villa Park sounds good to me.
Listen, it could be worse. On my wedding day, we lost away to Stoke 2-1 with a consolation goal from Libor Kozak. That's all I'm saying. That's how long that was.
You won't believe what happened on my wedding day.
They invented penicillin on your wedding day.
I had my wedding during wedding season, not the fucking football season, for fuck's sake. Come on, lads.
Neil, you killed me there. Oh, fucking hell. Like, Paddy, he's calling you a fossil, mate. You're going to have that.
I think
Me
Paddy's
and
only
Paddy
about,
had- Me and Paddy had a little chat before we went live, didn't we? And I was like, Paddy, why does your badge look so big compared to mine? He was like, because I've got a small head.
Yeah, so I think the fixture list this year is, I think it's pretty spread out. No, and it is in but once again, we don't know who we've drawn in the Champions League, and therefore we don't know. Like, one of these months could turn into a stinker if we have. Let's say we could have a month of, well, I was going to say March, but we could have a month of, of October where we have Man United, Fulham, Bournemouth, and that looks okay, for that month, and then we could have. I don't even know when the Champions League fixtures, but let's say we've got Real Madrid and bloody Juventus to play that month as well. That becomes an altogether tougher month. So any one of these months could change based on what the Champions League draws are and who we're supposed to play.
Scroll up tiny bit, please.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard, but honestly, like the way we've been, like there was, I think, did you quote tweet that was the Sky Bet or Sky Sports tweet Ty about Emery's 117 points out of his first how many
117
games?
points, yeah.
Like it's hard to fear anybody when you're essentially the third, fourth best team in the league over a 16 or 18-month period. He's by far and away now the second best manager in the league behind Guardiola, in my opinion.
Not if you ask Twitter today.
Now the clap is gone.
Twitter. I mean, Jesus. So in my opinion, it's hard as a Villa fan. As for me anyway, as a Villa fan, I always, I do fear 95% of the games that we play because it's so ingrained to me that we lose. But it's difficult to fear anybody really at the minute. Spurs, was that comment that came up? Spurs away and then Madrid at the end of the season.
That'd be a nice way to end the season. Spurs at home, United away, and Real Madrid in the final to end the season. Yeah,
all on the bus.
3
with
wins.
Big Matthew. Yeah, definitely, mate, definitely. But listen, I'm taking 2 points out of those first 2 games straight away. If you give me them right now, I'm taking 2 points.
Me too.
No, but it could happen. The thing is, we can have a disastrous August, and there's every chance that we can have a
6 or 7 game
over there. Absolutely, yeah. So I mean, the first 2, I'd be happy for a point on either. But I think we do Leicester. I don't know what type of Leicester's going to appear back in the Premier League. To be fair,
who's Leicester manager? Steve Cooper. Cooper. Yeah.
So you just don't know.
Manager.
Yeah, I you just don't know which. I didn't watch a huge amount of Championship football last year, so I didn't, really see how Leicester were doing. But
I can tell you that even the Leicester fans weren't happy with Maresca's football, and they weren't that upset when he left. That's all I'm saying. If any Chelsea fans are watching this, I mean,
they nearly threw it away. Like
they nearly blew
Brazilian
it.
Points.
They nearly blew it. I watch a lot of league football. I keep an eye on a lot. I've got I keep an eye on it basically all the way down to League 2. I don't know why, but it just fascinates me as a football pyramid. But yeah, Leicester fans were not at all that upset that Maresca went to Chelsea. I think they were hoping for Graham Potter, but they almost blew that. They were streets ahead of everybody else and nearly made an absolute mess of it. So
one thing I am going to say about fixtures, by the way, guys, while we were on the topic, is just remember we did Arsenal and we did Man City literally days apart. And when I say did, Man City have never, ever, ever had a schooling like that. Ever, period. That was the biggest bodying they have had since Pep has gone there, as far as I can remember. But if it's not the number one, it's top 3. I'm telling you, there's nobody who has nullified them like that. I think they had 2 shots on target, and one of them was Haaland, and it was an empty save.
They were both Haaland, I think, at the same time.
Yeah, it was literally seconds apart. The other one was the rebound off the keeper save, and that was all they had for the entire game. We did Arsenal, we did Man City. I'm not scared of anyone. I'm not, after the season we've just had, I'm not fearless.
And see if we had see if Kamara hadn't got suspended after the Brentford game. I'm convinced we would have picked up more points. I'm convinced we would have. I mean, we were this close to a title charge. I swear to God, like we were not far away from a title challenge. We really weren't. I mean, we lost Kamara, we lost Luis. He was suspended. We lost him for a few games. Then we went and lost Torres for the guts of a month, which was massive for us. So we were close. And I heard something today on Talksport that someone's dark horse prediction was, or Leffy prediction was that Villa can challenge for the title. But tell you what, we weren't a million miles away last year. And if we keep, if we had a fully fit squad, we would have been the gap would have been a lot closer. That's for sure.
Yeah, I listened to that Talk Sport today. It was a hard watch because it was Danny Murphy that was talking back.
Oh
to
yeah,
him.
did you hear that? Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, anti-Villa, the Antichrist. Yeah,
Antichrist, right?
Yeah. But again, but you look at the trajectory from Emery taking us from 18th to 7th, and then 7th to 4th. 4th to 1st. I mean, I'm jesting, but the trajectory is just absolutely insane. And again, people don't. And I hear these other fans from other teams on these overlap preseason shows and all this nonsense. Like United fans banging on about injuries. Newcastle fans banging on about injuries. We had basically 3 ACLs in the one season, plus we had, and again, pundits saying that we've got to contend with Champions League football this season and league football. Well, we did that last season, and I think we only lose 2 games on the back of a European tie. We lost 2 games. In fact, our form was bang on after we played in Europe on Sunday. Our record on Sunday was pretty flawless, and we had a complete threadbare squad. So, listen, people seem to forget. People seem to sort of write us off, but that's fine by me. But I mean, if you're going to be a journalist and you're going to be on the on the top channels, at least do your research.
Absolutely. I think we've lost Neil. I'll be honest.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, and he's in charge of graphics, which absolutely kills the next bit. So I'll be honest, lads. I think we're fogged here. Oi, Dunworth.
It's all right. He'll be back. He hasn't texted, so I'd imagine he's just pending to something. So we'll be fine. Just what you said there about the what we all hoped was going to be a title run. Didn't we lose Martinez for a couple of games there as well?
Yeah. And again, I know Neil sort of spoke at the start about the Olsen segue, but for me, that I just cannot get my head around the fact that we don't have a quality number 2. I mean, Gauci seems to be talented, but I mean, we don't know anything about him. We don't know if he's ready to step in and play, at that top level. But Olsen, again, it's not nice to dig players out, but he just clearly isn't capable to be a backup at that level. And for me, that is, if we go into the season with him as number 2, for me, that's the biggest worry. That's the biggest worry.
Yeah, well, the one thing I enjoyed about watching Gauci was his control of the football. He wasn't afraid of those short passes out. Every one of them were on point. He looked like Emi Martinez without the build. He had the footwork that Emi Martinez has, so he shouldn't change our game if he comes in there. You do worry a little bit with Robin Olsen, and he's been done to death on this podcast, so I don't want to go in on him too hard.
No.
I think most fans agree that we did need an upgrade, and maybe that upgrade is there. Maybe he knows what Joe Gauci is capable of, and it was just about blooding him in these fixtures.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, rumours of my demise were way off the mark. I could hear you the whole time when the kids started crying here, and I had to run like the clappers. And I did text you, Paddy. I could hear you. Take the graphic down. Ronan is asking me to take the graphic down.
I just realised I could have done that in the first place.
You could have done that in the first place. Yeah. So,
very good.
Yeah, look, I suppose so. We've gone through the squad, and we've gone through the fixture list and so on. And I suppose we're talking about the squad. We've spoke, and you guys we're talking about the overall kind of feeling, I suppose, about Villa at the moment. But I'm going to get everybody to pin their colours to the mast in a moment, because my computer shut down earlier. I had this open, and I'm going to crudely do this in Canva.
The reflection, to be fair.
Pardon me, you can see it in the reflection.
See, you've got take that thick taxi off there. Reflection.
Yes.
Hey, you dirty old bugger, you dumb man.
Yeah, you can see. You can,
What's that photo, Katie Price there, Neil?
you guys talking away, and I'm on chat roulette then on another window. That's what's going on here. Let me share this one, Chris Canva. Here we are. So we're going to pin our colors to the mast, and we're going to immortalize this one forever on the Twitter machine. And we are going to put our season predictions in here. And I'm going to start with you, Ty. I'm going to start with the two guests first. So, Ty, I'm going to start with you first. What league position? I'm just waiting. Have I spelled everything right? Yeah, close enough. What league position do you think Aston Villa are going to finish in this year?
I think that's fifth.
Is his microphone gone?
Oh, sorry. You think it's going to be fifth? Okay. Well, this is live TV. So fifth. Okay, so I'll make this look pretty afterwards. Oh, there we go. Fifth. So you think we're going to finish in fifth position? Why the hell is that moving in the background? You're supposed to be locked. There we go. And like myself, you're supposed to be locked. So fifth. Dolan, where do you think we're going to finish in the league this year?
Just because Ty said fifth, I'm going to go third.
Third, yeah, because five follows three, doesn't it? Paddy, where are you? And I've robbed this from your Twitter page of you drinking a pint in one of our hats.
Second.
Paddy, you look like you're from the Shire in that photo, man.
Here, I'm still waiting for a bucket hat, so I mean, there's no rush, lads.
Did the bucket not come to you?
It wasn't sent, don't fucking.
Oh, you see, this is what I mean. You get fucking bucket hats. I got a fucking pin.
I got nothing. I got nothing anyway.
I have one here for you. I have one here. Right. I sent yourself and Bardell a bucket hat. I don't know where the hell they're going to. So anyway, let me throw another one in the post. I know Bardell got his anyway. I'm going to actually yeah. I'm going to go league position. Can I be Johnny Downer for once, since I'm usually positively Pat here? And I'm going to go sixth.
We can be realists, man. We can be realists.
Listen, I'm still taking sixth. Sixth in a trophy for me would still be a great season.
Me, exactly. The reason I'm going for sixth is because all would be revealed afterwards. Once we get into any sort of Europe next year, I'm absolutely delighted. I'd love to get another Champions League, but and if we do get another Champions League, believe me, I think that the club could kick on absolutely hugely if we were to get a couple of Champions Leagues in a row together. Because the money, the exposure, and everything that comes from it, like you immediately go into top tier, Adidas, all that stuff kicks on. So don't get me wrong, I do want to finish higher. This is me just trying to put on my Mystic Meg hat more so than my optimistic Meg hat on with this one. So I'm going to say 6 just because everybody is really optimistic with regards to this. What do you think we're going to take the cup seriously this year, Ty? So do you think the League Cup is going to be another third round exit, or where do we think we fall with the League Cup?
Quarters.
Well, how far do you think we'll get?
Quarters.
Quarters, yeah.
Birmingham.
Grand job. Dolan, where do you think?
Like, the quarterfinals are.
How far do you think we'll get, Dolan?
Alright, skip. I don't know. I think we're probably gonna fourth round. Don't say us. They just put 1-4.
Put one.
Yeah, look, guys, there's enough pressure on this already. There's enough pressure on this. So you think we're going to get to the fourth round?
Yeah, that's better. Fourth. Yeah.
Patrick. I've called you Patrick 3 times in this podcast. I could count. I'd say I've never called you Patrick on the podcast before. Anyway, where do you think we're going to finish in the League Cup?
Semi-final.
Fuck,
And here is where I go.
Win. You're saying winner, aren't you?
I'm saying winner.
Fuck. No
I'm
chance.
saying winner.
No chance.
Winner, chicken in over there.
No chance.
I'm saying winning the League Cup, guys. Yeah, there we go. I said I was Mystic Meg. Now I'm optimistic Meg in this one. So I told you it would all become apparent. FA Cup final, FA Cup tie, third round versus Man United exit.
Final.
Yeah, final.
You think you're getting to the final?
No, I think we're getting to the final, son.
Yeah, we're getting to the
We.
final. Dolan,
Quarters.
Fourth round again there.
quarters again.
Quarter final. Harnary Barn Cry.
Paddy, where are we getting in the FA Cup?
I'm going to go fourth round on this one.
Fourth round. I'll make this look all pretty for social media. Fourth round, and I'm going third round exit.
Can I change my league position? Can I change my league position to fourth?
You can.
No.
Please?
No.
Just so you can have fourth quarter. So you, yeah,
I'm allowed.
No, keep it as third, Dolan, because for
No.
years I did the
No.
middle of you with you, and you were fucking miserable, man. So just
No, I was
bro.
miserable. No, I wasn't miserable. I was fucking honest. I was sane.
So you join, you'd be like, you're right, Dolan. You'd be like,
Well, if you give me a reason to be fucking optimistic, I'll be it. But I was being sane. I'll have you know.
Champions League
round of 16.
round of 16. Jesus Christ!
You can just write R16 there, Neil. I think you'll be all right,
What
son.
the hell is going on? Can the Russians leave me alone?
Adam, give him his mouse back.
R16. Paddy or Chris? Sorry. What do you think we get?
Fuck.
He doesn't know the new structure.
I do know the new structure. You know that. I don't think we get out of the groups.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I don't think most people will think we'll get, like most people outside of Villa will think we'll get out of the group stage.
I don't see us winning any more than 1 or 2 max in that group phase.
Round of 32.
Round of 32. And I feel like Charlie from Only Sunny in Philadelphia, and I'm gonna go quarterfinals. And I'm going to say Unai Emery just does something absolutely bonkers in the Champions League. And
there is just something about Unai in Europe, isn't there? There really is.
Yeah. Well,
absolutely.
he didn't show it last year, did he? But
we got to semi-final still, and I think it was.
How many games did we lose last year in the?
Irrelevant. We got to the semi-finals, Dolan. Don't come with that negative shit again, son. We're past that now. It's a new corner, mate.
Lost about
and the
7
last
games.
3 Irish and a Brummie coming soon.
Yeah, the round that says people are saying the round of 32 is not a thing. It's round of 36, is it? Or the round of I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, it is what it is. Player of the year, who's going to
Rodgers? What at Russia?
Rodgers. Yeah, Paddy, I don't think there is a round of 32 this year.
I think we'll get to the round just beyond the group stages because the way that they've set it up now that anybody who wins a couple of games could potentially still get into the knockout stages because they've put that in to save their big boys. But I think that will benefit us. And I'm 99% sure it is the round of 32 because then it will go down to 16 and then 8 obviously for the quarterfinal. But whether it is or not, that's the round I think we get to.
Yeah, I think it's called. I think someone saying calling it playoff round. I think that's what they refer to it as. But I would have thought it would have been called around the 32 as well. But Paddy, where do you think, or who? Do you, sorry, Chris, who's going to be player of the season?
Maatsen. A lot of hope on this guy. Big fan of his.
I'm going to go left field and go JJ.
It's not that left field, is it, Paddy?
Not really.
Well, it is. He plays on the left side of the field.
Nobody has the same answer for anything. Not one question.
I'm going to go player of the year is going to be Ollie again because I think Ollie's going to hit 20 goals. So, isn't that mad?
I need to look at this again. I need to look at this again and assess it.
Yeah, because this is legally binding. If anyone fucks up on this, it's like a tattoo. You can't. It's never.
What does the winner get? What does the loser get?
The winner gets a bucket hat, and the loser also gets a bucket hat. Okay, I think that's.
Okay. All right. No, listen to it. Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah. Anyone want to make any changes?
mean, I'm not. I think the Champions League. I don't know. I mean, I'd want fourth. If you give me fourth now, I'd take fourth rather than say sixth and the League Cup.
Yeah,
I
Ford.
said fourth. I said last season, and I got a lot of abuse for it. I said for me, getting fourth, it much more outweighs winning the Conference League.
Oh,
in my opinion.
I think it's to be seen now. You know, like we're in the Champions League, whereas we win the second, isn't it? We're in the Champions League, and Olympiacos aren't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm wondering about that Champions League prediction though.
My Champions League prediction is wild, but I'm
Give
okay.
me.
It all depends on the draw, Dolan. Do you know what I mean? That answer may not be the same when you see our draw. Do you know what I mean? It can change.
But there's 8 games, isn't there? So anything's possible. And sure, look at Newcastle. But I mean, Newcastle were lucky not to get out of that group last year, I thought. Here, do you want? Let me copy Ty on that one. Let me change that and copy Ty. Which is the first.
16.
Which is the first for me.
Neil, do you have any fall into the Europa League bracket?
That's a good shout too.
You don't.
No, it doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't happen.
I didn't think so.
It doesn't go anymore. Yeah. Because that would be great if it did, but no.
I mean, if it's done, it's done. Like then you can focus on the rest of your trophies. You know what I mean?
And that's that. Look, I know I've got in that we're going to get to the quarters in the Champions League, but that's fanciful. But I think like the FA Cup is going to start in January for me, and like by the end of January, you could be out of the Champions League, out of the FA Cup, and then you've got your clear path towards winning the League Cup. Winning the League Cup and getting into.
I honestly don't think Emery. For me, the only thing Emery cares about is cementing fourth place, and
I think he's right too. I think from a future proofing of the club point of view, 1,000,000%. Now, look, fans want silverware, but you know he's got Mr. Heck, he's got accountants, he's got everybody coming to him, and he's probably looking at this and he's talking to Monchi and he's in his best Spanish is saying, "Fuck this PSR shite! I can't be dealing with this anymore. We need a couple of years of Champions League to kind of up this revenue because man, there's a lot of players he would want to buy, I would imagine, and." You know, this one in, one out stuff, and having to worry about selling players for top dollar as much as you can possibly get for them, because that's probably where the club are at the moment. Like, I would imagine you make 5 phone calls in the morning about Leander Dendoncker. You're selling him, but you're probably selling him for like 4 or 5 million, and the club want to get a bit more for him. You make 4 or 5 phone calls in the morning about Diego Carlos, he'll be gone before lunchtime. You know, so it's not about getting rid of the players; it's about getting rid of the players in an advantageous position for Aston Villa, where we are currently. Because we have to worry about PSR, you know, yeah, it's a very interesting one, I think, as well. Jason O'Brien says there that he wants the FA Cup. I want to see Aston Villa winning it. Of all the cups, I want to see Aston Villa win an FA Cup before I leave this mortal coil. But not this year. I think
we've got a better chance in the next few years of winning the league than we do of winning the League Cup or the FA Cup. I think if we can keep Emery, I think if you look at there will be a big shift, right? So you look at, I think Pep leaves at the end of this season. I think he leaves at the end of the season, right? I think he's got one more season, and I think he may even before. Like we don't know what will happen with City's 115 charges, or whatever. But even regardless of that, I think he leaves at the end of the season. They have at least 4 or 5 of their players. I mean, they basically need a rebuild, right? So they need to get 4 or 5 of those players will leave, and they need to get the new crop through. So that's City, right? For me, Arsenal are only getting better and better. So they're the kind of the next big challengers, right? Liverpool under Slot. I mean, who knows? Like, what's that kind of fallout from Klopp's era going to be like? I think it'll be very, very, very difficult. And again, he's got players like Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson, Robertson.
Yeah. They could be moving on in the next 2 or 3 years.
They need to recycle those players, bring a new batch in, right? So these big sort of this sort of top 4, this elite top 4 that's been there, there will be big changes, and I think if we can keep Emery, which I think we will, if we can just keep getting stronger and stronger each year, there's no reason why we can't be challenging for the league title in the next 2 or 3 seasons.
PSR doesn't give anybody outside the big six the opportunity to stay. Like we can have a good few seasons, but PSR is there to protect the six and keep them as the six. That's what it's there for.
Yes,
it doesn't matter how good we do or Newcastle or whatever. We're never going to have the financial backings.
But that's all about revenue. But that's all about revenue, you know, and that'll come. That'll come. So the more we get in the Champions League, the bigger sponsorships, the bigger sort of, you know, the more clout that we have, players, all, you know. So for me, it's playing the long game, and you know, you look at Chelsea. I mean, their stadiums holds less than we do, but yet they've got their revenue's huge. So I think what Heck's doing off the pitch, the whole bad thing didn't go down too well, and there's a few murmurings that, you know, maybe he's not, you know, things aren't all rosy, but like what the guy's done, I think in the last 12 months has been nothing short of like pretty spectacular, really. And I think for me, you know, PSR boils down to revenue, and they see that, and that's why they're banging on. All you hear from Heck is revenue, and that's what we need, you know, and that's what we don't have at the moment, where clubs like Spurs do. But for me, I'd rather play the long game, stay at Villa Park, expand Villa Park slightly, bit by bit. And you look at what we're going to do with the big car park outside the what's the stand where the club shop is, that car park, North Stands. You know, for me, like every time I go there, I'm like, you know, you have to build on that. Like you have to build hotels, build like a mini box park. All those kind of things for me are just going to bring revenue in more and more, and I understand the fans' frustrations. And I'm not a season ticket holder. I haven't been going to Villa. You know, I haven't had a season ticket for the last 30 years because I don't have the chance to get down there. So I would be pissed off if I was in that position where I'm losing my seat after 25, 30 years. I'd be absolutely seething. But for me, you know, sometimes these changes are necessary for us to kick on to that next level. And I'm sure if you speak to City, Arsenal, Spurs, even Chelsea, I'm sure that it's happened to every single one of those clubs. Liverpool, like you kind of have to do that in a way, you know. And it's that kind of like it's the better of two evils, you know. Do you want to kind of be that mid-table club that just stays where it is and doesn't kick on, or you know? So there's always got to be a bit of give and take.
I would, I think if Aston Villa are going to do something with the stadium, I'd go radical. I'd go something radical. Like Spurs got it handed to them in a play with the NFL deal. It's huge money for Spurs. It's big. It's huge income for Spurs.
Yeah,
I go radical. I put a fucking retractable roof on the stadium and get the biggest concerts you could possibly get all year round. I don't know how viable, like people are like, once again, that's me just being radical, something along those lines. I think you have to make it a draw for stuff as opposed to just saying we've got somewhere where you can sit 50,000 people. I think you got to like, so when you said about, I'm being facetious with the retractable roof in the stadium, but there is nowhere in the UK, like for one of the wettest places in the world, you've got Wimbledon that retracts the stadium. You've got the Millennium Stadium that retracts their roof, should I say. You don't really have any other stadium that does that. I'm not advocating for that. It's just the most wild thing that came out of my head. But when you mentioned about the box park, Chris, you got to make Villa Park something whereby people get there every day or get
early
there more often
and want to stay as well.
Not even on game day, but like where people need to go there or have a reason to go there from 1st of June to the
mate. Let me tell you, right? If as a season ticket holder, right? If a few of my lads messaged me in my group chat and said, "Do you fancy going to watch a game at Villa? Let's say it's a midweek game on, not even Villa, like just to watch, have a bit of scran and a drink and a bit of a social." I'd do it 100% if I knew it was helping out the club. 100%. Like we've always gone to the Gloucester Green in Aston. That's where we've always gone. It's nothing special. It doesn't even need to be anything special. If there was something on Villa campus for us to go and watch and have a bit of a social, you know, put some dartboards up, those types of things, whatever, like just make it a bit of like a sporty venue. I'd be all over it, man.
And that's what we need, and that's what we need for sure. That's what we need, and that space is gold dust. Like it's sitting there. It's been. I mean, that'll take it office and club shop look like a block of council flats. I mean, it's an awful looking car park, like and but there's so much space to build on it, and that's where we've fallen short. And that's where I think Heck's going to come into his own. And he has that American mindset, and people don't like to be called customers and all that nonsense. But I get it. Like it's a business. It's a business. Would you rather we were a shit club that had no business acumen, and then what we fold, we go out of business, like, because that's what'll happen. So, and I think that this PSR thing's it's really made fans like myself who were like, oh, who cares if you pay Dina 150 grand a week? It isn't my money. Well, kind of does that sort of thing kind of matters now, But it's tricky. I watched the Villa Unser video on when they went to Dortmund, and I think Max was like, it was €7.50 to get into the Dortmund game, and I mean, whatever they can do, however it works in Germany, it's phenomenal. Like the way they do it in Germany is amazing. But for some reason in the UK, we have to pay extortionate prices to get in and watch a football club. And I know the whole thing last year with Everton in the League Cup wasn't great and all that, but I kind of get it.
Yeah, and look, what you bring to Villa Park. And people hate the word gentrification, but what you bring to the park will rise the tide of the industry around the area as well, So, and Bog the Villain has a great suggestion here as well, that the club open up a strip club and call it Carews. I like
Gabby,
the name anyway.
Get Gabby. We'll get Gabby, James Collins, Richard Dunn, and John Crew to come and open
a
it
shisha
up.
bar, and Gabby will give every penny that Aston Villa ever gave him back in. That's a joke, Gabby, if you're listening. That is a joke. It's just because you were saying that they used to find you 2 weeks wages.
Instagram,
added up an Insta today.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Guys, we're going to finish on something that I just saw on Twitter there a moment ago, and it's to do with you, Paddy. So Sean,
you know exactly what they're calling up here.
Twitter, he said, watching the Villa, the Love McGrath podcast, and my 8-month-old son woke up to say his first words. Did Paddy just say second and dropped off again? That's the power. That's the power of Paddy's predictions. That is the power of Paddy's predictions.
And you kind, Chris, you kind of went over my reasoning for saying second this year. It's just I believe there's going to be a fall off from Man City this year. I believe Liverpool are on rebuilding. I think there's an opportunity, and I think it's our number one focus is to make sure we've got Champions League football every year, and that's why I've said second. I do think we'll come up short. Obviously, I'm not that brave, but I do believe there's an opportunity this year, and if we get the signings right in the next couple of weeks, I think there's no doubt we're going to be up there.
Unfortunately, listen, I agree. I think it'll not be this soon, but I agree in the next 2 or 3 seasons. I do think fourth place is the obsession. That's the obsession. That's my obsession. I would rather have fourth place for the next 2 or 3 years, cement Champions League football as a club, build the revenue, and then you attract better players. And then once you get the better players in, then the trophies come. The trophies will come.
Exactly. Yep.
I agree. I'm laughing. There's people putting in names for the strip club now, and I'm definitely.
You can't put them on the screen.
If you've put in stuff here into the comments and you want
bottle of horse.
Yeah, exactly. That is genius. That is
make it even funnier that it's put in by huge erection.
There we go. That is absolutely excellent.
People say the internet is a dark place. Not when people like huge erection and stuff like that.
That was brilliant. That's actually, I'm going to be spoiling for about 20 minutes after that. It's there sitting looking at us. It was sitting looking at us, so we just couldn't get there. I think we're going to tie bow on this, guys. This has been a really, really good conversation. We haven't done an hour and a half. I actually said to you guys before, and Dolan goes to me, I've only got 40% on my phone because we had to move to Dolan's phone.
And we were like,
we've done in half an hour. We've done in half an hour, yeah.
Mate, I had to put my back in towards the end.
But no, that's and guys, listen, I really thank you for your time, because look, 90 minutes and as Ty said, it is nearly past his bedtime when we started, so we better get
fucked.
we better get you to bed. But thanks so much, guys, for coming on. Really, really appreciate your time. This won't be the last
Oh, it's
time we
been
have
a
you on
pleasure.
this year.
Nice
We've
one.
been threatening. We've been talking about doing this for ages, and I'm glad that we could get it. And we might we will have regular check-ins with you two guys. I think over the season.
Me and Ty are going to start up our own podcast. So we are, which is breaking news. No, we're not really.
I'm retired. Leave me alone.
Retired.
Ty's saying he's retired. Yeah, I don't know. I think he could be.
I only come out of retirement for you.
For me,
and literally,
exactly.
like 2 other people, mate. I am fucking done with it after apart from that.
Yeah.
Retired.
But no, listen, I thanks a million for your time. Really, really appreciate it. And Paddy, I'm sure you were getting pelters as well for coming on when you should be packing to go on your holidays as well.
Paddy's thinking, fucking shut up. I've got to go and fucking.
Yeah, I've got to go. Yeah. I was only allowed to bring 1 bottle of Moretti with me, so he said. So I got to go.
Send us a picture of you in your speedos. Picture of you in your speedos. That's what we want to see.
He said it's something about a Villa Mancini, but I believe it when I see it.
We all want to see.
Nobody wants
Absolutely.
to see that.
Yeah, and for everybody in the chat room there as well, guys, lads, we've had 1,700 people watching this at one stage today, which is absolutely bonkers. And so thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate your time today. If you are watching us on YouTube, go over to X, to whatever it's called at the minute, and just click on a follow on there. I know you may not use that platform. I know it's not exactly a place a lot of people want to be recently, but if you give us a follow, the algorithm clicks us on there. I see, and to be honest with you,
mate, you've had 1,000 concurrent on Twitter for the entire thing.
Yeah. For the
Neil, how many likes do you want to smash on this video?
I don't really
10,000.
Likes. I've never actually done that. I've never actually said like
guys, let's try and smash 500 likes in this video, guys. Okay, like and subscribe.
Subscribe, ding that notification bell.
Smash those like buttons.
I've been followed. I'm just looking here on Twitter. The bots are out in force anyway on Twitter somewhere, because I've been followed by like 60 females all in a row. And look, I know I just trimmed the beard.
You said a bongla horse and I fucking
I trimmed the beard today, but I know it's not that good. Like, it's not that good. So anyway, thank you to all those 60 people with female names anyway that have followed me on Twitter since we started this. I appreciate your support. But yeah, listen, I'm rambling now. Thanks a million, everybody. Look, really, really positive season ahead. I think it was a good conversation there. You know, we covered an awful lot of ground. There's a lot of context, I think, given with regards to why we picked a couple of, or specifically with regards to the squad and so on there. So I hope you guys enjoyed that tonight. Again, thanks to Chris, thanks to Ty, thanks to Paddy, and thanks to the 1,700 people who are in here as well. I'm going to be back again tomorrow with another guest to do a different type of a preview of the season. And then on Thursday, I'll be back with another guest to do a preview of the West Ham game. And
hey,
then on
Paddy,
Friday,
I'd be worried, mate.
And then on Friday, I know, Paddy.
Do me a favor here, Ty.
And on Friday, I'm taking a day off. And then on Saturday, we have Team Sheet Tantrum and we've post-match podcast as well on Saturday after the game as well. So you'll be sick of seeing me over the next few days, but we wouldn't have it any other way. Really good season, really exciting season. I see us winning a trophy. Some of the guys see us getting back into 4th place. You know, nobody's down on where we're supposed to be this year. And that's a brilliant feeling to have, because hey, not so long ago, we were talking about 17th. If we finish 17th, we'd be fucking delighted, you know. So take the good times when they come. As Dolan said, I think it was it Dolan or was it you, Ty, that said, you know, we got to embrace Emery here because he's not going to be around forever. And, you know, good things come wherever Emery goes. So thanks a million, everyone. Going to leave it at that. See you again as soon as we possibly can. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.